Just a warm welcome from my man, Cory. Cory, take it away.
All right. Thank you. Get off the stage. All right. So just to give you an idea of how old I actually am, I started doing digital advertising in 1994. And at that time, you could actually put the entire digital marketing industry at dinner in New York City. It was great. It was like 25 people. So thanks for having me. I appreciate you all letting me come up. And I'm going to do literally 2 minutes of just opening, and then we're going to jump into our session. But I came from New York for the last few days where I was listening to people talk about video. And what's really interesting is that, I love AI. So I love talking about AI. I love performance. I've always been very, very interested in performance. What was most interesting to me versus here is that almost nobody was talking about AI in a video context, which I find really interesting. You come to a performance area, you come to an area about search and technology, and everybody wants to talk about AI. So as usual, and has always been the norm, people in performance marketing tend to adopt technology much, much faster. So regardless of how many F-bombs we just heard and whether or not you're innovative, you are actually pretty innovative because you do like technology more than most people do. So that's kind of a fun thing to point out. Now, going from AI and going into a conversation specifically about performance marketing, I promised John that I would do the same thing I always do when I come up on stage, is I will start the session out with a joke. Who likes a good joke? Okay. I have two. Do you want to hear one, or do you want to hear two? Okay, so here's the first one. I specifically got this for you folks. Knock, knock. Remarketing. Knock, knock. Come on, that's a pretty good one. You guys caught on way faster because you are our performance marketers. That joke can go on for 6 minutes. Okay. All right, here's the other one. What do you call a landing page on a beach? Anybody? A destination URL. I heard you whispering it. You were whispering it, weren't you? Somebody did. Oh, no, actually. There's literally websites dedicated to marketing jokes, which just proves that you can do anything. You can find anything on the internet. I joked earlier that I can find jokes about John Whitfield on the internet, and I found 2. Go look them up later. Okay. So with that, we are actually going to go into a session, and we're going to talk about AI and search. So if I can have my compatriots come up here. So Rich, Brett, and Ryan, you want to walk yourselves up here? Okay, right. We're going wired style. Yeah. You guys can sit in any order you want. Is this thing working?
Let's do Rich, Brett, and Ryan.
You can't sit in any order you want.
Got assigned seats.
Yeah.
Any order we want, as long as it's that order.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's drop the mic before the session begins.
I'm done.
All right. Is this thing actually working as well as the other one? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so gentlemen, we're going to go into this topic of will AI kill SEO and search. But first, let's just go down the line and let everybody introduce yourselves a little bit about what you do.
Rich Bosler, Director Paid Search, Harmelin Media, and I lead basically our healthcare vertical.
Okay.
Hi, Brett Geeser, Head of Paid Search and Ecommerce at CROSSMEDIA.
Hey, Ryan Jones, same as my Twitter if I say something stupid, but I run SEO at Razorfish.
Okay. So thank you, gentlemen, all for joining up in this conversation. Now, this is one that is really interesting to me specifically. I had kind of asked for this topic because I wrote last February, after the whole Gen AI thing blew up, that AI will kill SEO and search. I predicted, my idea was that about 50% of web traffic will die over the next 5 to 6 years because of generative search. Specifically that you don't have to go look at all the blue clicks. You don't have to go through and check out all the information when you do a search query because it's going to bring it back to you. So all that secondary traffic probably goes away and your website turns into a knowledge base. It doesn't need to be this beautiful website that we spend so much time and money trying to make gorgeous to be able to bring people in and keep them there. It just needs to have all the information in it so it can be crawled and the AI can bring it back. Now, that was my prediction. Whether or not it's true, we'll see. But I know we had a great conversation to get prepped for this. So, gentlemen, what do you think? Because I heard all kinds of different answers to this when we first spoke.
So I don't necessarily agree with that. First off, where's the money involved in it? I mean, people are not going to pay $40 a month for a paid version of ChatGPT when they have a free Google. They just aren't. So there needs to eventually be a financial incentive there. Secondly, like as it stands now, like I don't want something just telling me the answer. I want at least that illusion of choice. When I ask who has the best pizza, or like something about buying a car, like I like to see reviews, I like to see different links, and even though we know that the top links are the only ones that get clicked, the user doesn't know that. They think they have all these different options. I mean, let's be honest here. We have 100% of scientists saying the Earth is getting warmer, and we're causing it, and there's still a ton of people who say, no, that's not true. So, like, if you're just asking a query into a AI and it's just giving you one specific answer, I don't think we actually want that as a populace. I think we want to think that we are selecting something and making a decision on our own.
Rep?
I don't think AI is going to kill. I think it's going to evolve the both SEO and search in a way that we have not thought about it before. It's constantly going to be active in terms of how we engage and how it responds to the content that we are inputting. And obviously there's going to be a human component of the AI with SEO and paid search. It's just a matter of when that evolution is going to change, and we need to evolve with that change as well.
So, I mean, SEO has been dying since the 2000s, right? Every month someone puts an article out there that, SEO is dead, this is going to kill it, this is going to kill it. And they talk about something else, and it ends up being SEO that replaces SEO, and the cycle just keeps going on, right? They're still doing the same stuff. AI, it's not a search engine, right? They don't have an index of words and a database of this website has this word except, but it is a search engine because it's still going out and finding information from the web, and it's putting that information in front of our customers. So as long as people are searching, and no matter what they're using, we as brands and marketers are going to want to get our message in front of those people. So I don't think it's going to change our day-to-day job at all. We're still going to have to put the right information out there. We're still going to have to put it in a way that whatever search engine AI can index it or see it and understand it. And we're still going to want it to say our brand, our product, et cetera. So the formats may change, the method may change, but our day-to-day jobs, I don't think they're going anywhere.
So if we have such varied opinions about what's going to happen as a result of AI utilization in search, how are you advising your clients? Like, how do you get them prepared for what has to happen over the next 2 to 3 years? Or is it still more about the performance of what happens this quarter?
I mean, for us, our clients, it's more about like what we can't do with search as opposed to what we can do. They're still pretty leery about it. I mean, none of our clients are excited to give Sam Altman their data, like to pump it in and to get marketing insights, because we don't know what's happening with that on the back end. But it's more about like the changing of scope, right? So like we'll use it to help generate variations of landing pages and to generate variations of ad copy, but we're going to get paid the same money for that. It's just they know that we can generate things faster than we were previously. So instead of scoping for like X variations of an ad, they're going to have 5X variations of an ad. So that's kind of what we've been encountering with it so far.
I think it's a combination. I think one is obviously we're all into performance media. We want to make sure that we are exceeding our clients' expectations, KPIs, but there's also needs to be a parallel path of planning and being on the forefront of implementing and testing new technology so we can take advantage of potential opportunities in the marketplace, be the first to market so we can continue driving performance for our clients.
So there's a great quote from Bill Gates in around 2009 when they first created Bing, and Ballmer threw a chair through a wall because no one was using their search as a verb, right? But around that time, Bill Gates said the future of search is verbs. And he didn't mean people are typing action words into Google, but he meant people want to do something. And where I see AI really changing and the advice we're giving clients is, right now more than ever, we need to understand what people are trying to do. What task are they trying to accomplish? Because if you're searching for how old is Taylor Swift, people don't want a website with a cookie consent notice and a pop-up to allow alerts and an email pop-up and 4 ads they got to close and scroll down through grandma's recipe before they get to the answer. That's never what people wanted, right? They just want a number. And if your business is providing that number that you don't own, it's time to change. But people are still trying to do stuff. And so there's always actions to be taken, whether it's buying a car like we heard about earlier, or whether it's getting financial advice, right? I don't want my financial advice from an AI. So the key for our clients is focus on what people are trying to do and be that useful or trusted advisor, or be that useful source of helping them do that thing.
Yeah. It was interesting, I think at the very beginning you mentioned something right off the bat, which is pretty much what everybody does, which is let's talk about how Google might be starting to think about the utilization of AI in its overall interface. But Bing obviously Microsoft spent a lot of money to get OpenAI in there, and they've probably done the most change in terms of the UI to integrate generative search results directly in there. But also what's interesting is that the technology opens up other opportunities, right? You do have, Brave. You've got things like Perplexity. I was mentioning to somebody earlier about Pi, which I got turned on to 3 days ago, and I'm completely addicted to it now. Do you think that the utilization of AI not necessarily kills SEO and search, but does it actually open the doors to new brands and new platforms actually starting to take and make a dent in the business that Google has?
I mean, God, I hope so. I want to go back to something Ryan said quickly, where he said our jobs are still going to be there, and I don't agree necessarily with that. I don't think search and SEO are going anywhere, but right now, it feels like Google is using generative AI, and basically with every new thing they do, every PMAX, every RSA, every lack of transparency that they take away from us, everything they kind of black box, feels like they're pulling away client-side business, that they are taking things more in-house and looking to work directly, and any brands and client-side people in here earmuff, but it looks like they want to work with you directly. They want to take away our advertising budget and basically let you spend that in media dollars. And to me, that's where I really hope they become, because they're they're de facto monopoly. So I feel like this is something like with GDN. Back in 10 years ago, I had 100 sales rep coming to me, giving me RFPs for every website on the planet. Then GDN comes and they're all out of a job. And that I kind of feel like is the way that Google's going now. So I'm hoping that there will be more competitors in the marketplace that will actually value that relationship and allow us to keep doing what we do.
Google has been, I feel, on the forefront of AI technology for as long as I've been in paid search. And it could be a subset of bid strategies. It could be ad copy variation development. PMAX is their new innovative product, where there's less transparency and you're trusting Google to provide performance. I had a chief digital officer always tell me, trust but verify. And there needs to be a human component in terms of QAing the work, and someone who's QAing the work needs to have that experience in digital marketing, paid search, understanding the product, understanding is it right for the client from a brand safety perspective. It all comes down to it's an interaction between both machine and human, and we're not going to be losing our jobs, but there's going to be a change in how our daily tasks are going to be, and what are we going to be doing? Are we going to be advising AI or our tech companies, our strategies? Are we going to be, again, we're already trusted advisors. We work on the agency side to our brands. So I'm just very interested to see how it continues to evolve, and making sure that the products that are being developed through AI there's more control, and how we're able to provide that transparency to our client.
We were just having this discussion last night over some drinks, and it's definitely not the case everywhere, but there are some paid search folks in the world that are going to have to deal with the fact that Google can do it better than them right now. And Google is really good at it, and I'm not saying PMAX beats agencies everywhere. It doesn't. In many cases, it does not. But there are some people out there that are going to have to realize that the AI can do it better than them, and those people are going to have to evolve. They're going to have to learn to leverage the tools and do the same stuff, because our old methods aren't enough. Now, your question was, is Google, or is this seeing new vendors and new people come into the space? And I mean, we just saw the chart the other day. Google's market share is going down, which is hilarious. At the same time, they're in a antitrust suit, right? Like, oh, you have a monopoly. Also, our market share is dropping. Don't really go together, but I think we're seeing that. And I think when it comes to informational type searches and the basic stuff, we've seen people move to TikTok for how-to videos. People are searching there now instead of search engines. I think we're going to see it with random informational type searches, or how many people used to search Google just to get a spell check or just something like that, right? There's other tools for that now. So I think we're going to see a shift, but I think what we've seen with all the platforms that come about with social media and everything in the past is it's not a zero-sum game. I think people just search more on more devices at more times of the day in more capacities, and I think we're just going to see that continue to grow as people are just going to use the devices more and query more and do more search in more ways.
But Brian, search and SEO, it's a game. It's sort of like whack-a-mole, right? Your job is to not only try and figure out anticipate how people are going to use search, but to your point just now, where they use it. And I heard somebody say it earlier, that search is everywhere. And it really is. But search is a fundamental tool to simply get you an answer faster, no matter where you might be. And we're seeing the platforms are starting to adopt AI-powered search. If you look at Instagram now, the search buttons on Instagram changed to be Meta's AI the other day. And they're kind of forcing it down your throat. So if that's the case, how has the game changed? Because your game used to be, let's look at the Q-score. Let's look at the different ways that we can get ahead of the SEO scoring and ranking. What do you do now that's different?
Marketing. SEO has become real marketing. It used to be tactics and gamification and tricks. Now it's actual marketing. It's brand awareness. It's understanding user intent. It's personas. It's getting in the customer's mindset. What is the gap in the marketplace? How do we make this task easier for them? It has quickly become real marketing and less SEO. And the number one advice I would have to SEOs out there or paid search people is grow your tangential. I gotta make sure I say that word right. Grow your tangential marketing skills in other areas.
I always say that word wrong.
Yeah, I used to have a physics professor that said it a weird way that was hilarious. But grow your extra skills because it is becoming real marketing. It's not just hacks and tricks anymore.
Yeah. I mean, behaviors are changing, and if you're continuing to do your old set of ways, your skill set, you're not going to evolve, and you're not going to grow as a marketer, and potentially you're going to be out of a job. So you constantly have to keep up to date on the technology, and I have an infrastructure built from your skill set, but you need to build upon that. So again, you have a very strong skill set that can be very amenable to change.
Rich, what's the measurement then? Right? SEO used to always be about how much traffic you drive into your site. What's the accountability on SEO going forward if it's not necessarily about traffic?
I mean, you might want to ask the SEO guy that one, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know if we have an answer to that yet. Like we're still beholden to our older KPIs, and I mean that's going to have to be something that we learn how to shift to. I mean, it's still phone calls and form fills and things like that, and it's just at the end of the day, it's just going to be quality. Like if the traffic is down, but the quality is up, it's a net positive, and that's what we're going to have to be. We're going to have to get better at measuring like the quality of what we have coming in.
I'll tell you what, the people that are really scared about measurement are the rank tracking tools right now, because it is going to completely change everything for them. Because first you could just scrape Google, get your rank, then you had to start rendering JavaScript to get it. Now with generative experiences in Google and Bing, you don't not only have to render, you got to wait 3 or 4 seconds on your machine for that answer to render, and then reparse that after it renders. Not one ranking tool has the technology to do that right now that I've seen. Not one. I mean, I've worked with a buddy of mine, and we've built some stuff to test that's not scalable enough to work outside of my machine. But they're really scared, and I think it might get to the point where we can't actually measure ranking as a core metric the way SEOs like to measure ranking, because it's going to be different. That generative experience is going to be different for everybody, even more so than customization and personalization stuff we see now.
And that seems to be a lot of the predictions that if you go and read about it right now, that people talk about is that ranking probably won't matter. If anything, I mean, there's the joke that if you've ever murdered someone, the best place to hide the body is on the second page of Google search results because no one will ever see it. But now that home page becomes a dynamic page where you're engaging with a Gen AI. You're talking to it. You're continually asking it to refine its search and bring it back. And maybe there's a couple blue links on that page. But ranking only matters if you're on that page and above the fold, really.
So I'll jump in again real quick, but we did a little study, and that it's also an opportunity for people, because when you look at the search generative experience, at least on Google, it's something like only 20% of the sites it cites rank in the top 20 in Google. It is pulling deep results in as citations, and that has to do with how it's coded and how it works, and I'll be doing a webinar on this coming up later if you're interested. But it's how it's coded and how it works. But it's an opportunity, right? If you don't rank, you can still get pulled into SGE. And I've actually seen it. Google's got a bug right now where I've seen sites with verified manual actions penalized for spam still can get cited in SGE, which is weird to me that bug exists for so long, but it does.
Yeah, and by the way, that is a really interesting thing because I know the difference between using, say, Copilot and Google search results now. When you look at the AI results, Copilot cites every piece of information in it. And I think that's really an interesting thing. It's almost like looking at the glossary inside of a book to go back and verify the source of that information. Like, do you look at that now to see that as something that helps you determine how you're going to be evaluating the effectiveness of your SEO going forward?
Trying to. I mean, like I said, the tools are not catching up. So whoever invents the tools to help look at that stuff, like we're doing it, internally on some kludgy looking Python code, but the tools just aren't there, right? Like, so whoever creates that, there's an opportunity.
We're still in infancy.
We got a cord.
Yeah, so I keep dropping the mic. We're still in our infancy, so I mean, I'm very excited about the new development that's going to be coming out. There's going to be new tools. There's going to be new products. There could be we were talking about Brave. Brave could blow up and to be a Google size. That's where we're seeing these days where we don't know, but we need to take advantage of what's available right now and continue to grow with the product development.
And to that point, we started out talking about how are you advising your clients, but how are you hiring now? Like, what kind of people are you looking at to be the future of how you look at SEO and how you manage search going forward? What are the skills that maybe they have to be thinking about?
I don't think it's incredibly different than what it has been previously. I mean, what I'm always looking for, what my company's always looking for, is your ability to learn new skills and how you go about that. Like, everything I learned in my master's, in 2006, I could just throw in the trash because none of that's applicable anymore. I mean, when I started working in this industry in like 2008, we learned, the way I still learn. I watch YouTube videos and I read articles and I seek out thought leaders and I follow people on LinkedIn and eventually, yes, you're going to have college courses on generative AI and all that, and that's going to be one of the skill sets you look for. But it's more about do you have that thirst for knowledge? Do you have that attention to detail where you're constantly trying to improve yourself and learn what the latest and greatest and best thing is and how to maximize it?
I mean, I look at what their experience in terms of, are they looking in one channel or have they expanded across different types of media and have a breadth of knowledge of the media space. And then when I interviewing people, I have conversations with them and really understand what they're interested in, and that comes out with their thought leadership, a strong POV on a certain question I might ask, if regards to AI, if in regards to a Google ad product, and see how they are interacting in their response to a question, especially whoever has a strong POV on it.
So I look at passion, motivation, and drive, and thought process. Are they a data-driven, analytical person? Like, I literally have a person on my team who's a classically trained chef, and that was his background, and he is killing it as an SEO because he's got the right thought process and the motivation. The best candidate I ever interviewed, and I hired her, and I know I have some coworkers here, so I won't say who it is, but I asked her a question, and she said, I don't know that, but I promise you I will learn it faster than anybody else. And that right there was, yes, I'm hiring you, I like you, that is the process. Because we can teach all this stuff. What I can't teach is drive, motivation, passion, right? We don't want that person that's going to turn SEO off at 5 o'clock at the end of the day. I want that person that's reading articles, that's writing up their own code, that's trying stuff, that's expanding their knowledge set. If you hire that skill set, you'll never go wrong.
So, all good points. If we look at where we are right now, and I also had started out saying I had a prediction that was 5 or 6 years down the line. If we look at, say, 2025, because there's a bunch of people in here, you're starting to already think about, to some extent, what you're going to do next year. What do you think are the big changes on the horizon? Do you think, for example, that Google will be forced to have a dramatic change to its UI for doing search? Do you think that there will be differences in how the AI search functionality is built into the different tools from Meta, to the different tools from Microsoft? Microsoft's already talking about how its AI is going to be built into Office. Is there a search functionality that gets built into Office now going forward? How are you starting to plan for some of these changes, and do you think that they'll start to really take place in the next 12 months, or is it further out?
I think it's going to be a little bit further out. I look at more of like a 5-year window to really see. The adoption is just going to be slow. We're very set in our ways. But I think it's going to be really more about being able to do more rapid personalization and how we are going to, not just generative AI, but I'd say more like predictive AI, like almost being able to answer questions before they're ever really asked, and like being able to really personalize a user experience in a way where you could almost maybe be creating like personalized landing pages based on who the person is in their browsing history and things like that. So I think that's kind of where we're going to really see the biggest impact as marketers, is just kind of changing that experience?
I think it depends on how fast the product matures and how we can trust it in terms of providing us quality results that are trusted, and we can provide background on why we should be doing something like that. And so it could be 12 months, it could be 5 years, and it all depends on how mature that product becomes and how trusted it becomes as well.
Do you think we're overstating it?
I don't think so. I think it's important that we are there and taking advantage of that opportunity, but we have to understand that, again, this is a relatively new product or a new way of thinking, and we need to be confident that whatever we are utilizing that product for is correct.
I think the trust thing really quick, though, is a really important point because if, like right now with ChatGPT and it hallucinates and it spits out garbage sometimes. So if I'm looking up something and then I have to go look somewhere else to verify what ChatGPT told me, like I'm not saving any time. Like that's not helpful. So until like it actually is a fully trusted product, I think there's always going to be a little.
And the data shows that it's over 50%. It's a high number. I forget the stat, but people's next site after ChatGPT is Google, because the data says that. And I think we're going to see a lot of AI that we don't know is AI, because like Brett said earlier, the future isn't me paying monthly fee to type into a web form. And you know, like honestly, I'm already getting bored of prompts and web forms. Like, cool, you can fill out a form. Like, yeah, we can all do that, right? I'm not impressed. But I think we're going to see a lot of AI that we don't know is AI, or search that we don't even know is search too, like Amazon Alexa devices, right? That's searching Bing every time you ask it a question for stuff. That's a search. You still got to be ranking in Bing to get it to pull your answer back, but we don't think of it as a search, right? The same way when I use the eraser or select tool in Photoshop, that's AI. We don't think of that as AI, but it's literally using AI to determine how to select stuff and how to erase stuff and content fill in Photoshop. And I think search is going to go the same way as we build it into all the Microsoft products. It's going to be searching. And it's not going to feel like a search. We're not going to think of it as a search. But in the back end, it's going to be a search. And I think that is the real future of AI and search.
Elon's just going to put a microchip in your head. Then you don't have to worry about your form fills anymore. You're just going to be able to think about it.
Let me know how that goes.
Hard pass.
By the way, it's interesting because you both hit on a topic in there. Obviously, AI being part of search. We are differentiating it in the title of this session, but it is just an advancement in the concept of search in itself. But also, you're pointing out that people are going from, say, ChatGPT into Google, and I think in many cases they're kind of searching to see the verification. But I also think you're both, and probably all three, overstating the intelligence level of the general consumer, to be honest. And I know it's a horrible thing to say out loud, but right now they're checking it. But look, half of those searches, if you go look at, people still think the Earth is flat. They're going and searching for pictures that the Earth is actually flat. Like, people will start to, unfortunately, accept no matter what they get out of AI and the search results as truth.
Yes.
You know, critical thinking is dying. We'll talk about that some other time.
It's gonna be dangerous.
But how does that, I mean, do we have to train consumers to be as cynical as the people up here are?
Unfortunately, yes, I think. Because, yeah, like I use AI all the time for programming. Even for code stuff, I know how to code because it's quicker. And 50-60% of the time, it'll suggest a Python library that just doesn't exist. It invents it. Like, it doesn't know how to solve the problem, so it invents a library that can solve it. It's like, oh, use that. Like, wait, that doesn't exist. It's not real. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be an issue, especially with the hallucinations, the disinformation, right? Like, you can get AI to recommend some cool things. Like, the other day, I asked it the best way to cook a potato, and it told me wrap it in foil, throw it in the microwave for half an hour.
Oh, boy.
Don't try that. But, like, so there's some problems, right? So yeah, I think we're going to have to train people, and I don't know how that's going to go.
On that note, let's go to the audience with questions.
Any potato questions? Does anyone have any questions for these guys?
You know you've got something.
I actually do, though, because, I mean, there is a lot of cynicism here going on. But ultimately, when it comes to search, and we're talking about it's all the different channels now and being able to use them all together depending on where you are. How are you controlling that when you're talking about search campaigns, when you are talking about very distinct channels, when it's just all these different personalities about it. You're going to get things shot out that maybe aren't as accurate because if you are talking ChatGPT. So, like, how are you making sense of all that? There's just so much going on, and then now you need to really focus and really dive into your campaigns.
Go right ahead.
Fine, I'll start. It's definitely a challenge, right? There's a lot more data to go through. There's a lot more things interplaying in the search results page, and it's honestly, the answer is it's taking a lot more human insight. Where a lot of things could just be automated reports in the past, now we need that human insight to actually look at what's going on, understand what's going on, and add that layer to it. And who knows, maybe AI can add that layer in the future. I'm sure someone's already working on a tool to do that. But it's, like somebody said earlier, it's changing the role of the job, right? It's no longer just grabbing the same old metrics, because they're changing. All the metrics are changing. And I don't know that anybody's figured it out really, really well yet, but we're definitely all trying, and we're definitely all doing cool stuff. Different context in place of different clients, right? You got to keep the client goals in mind, and you know, sometimes some tactics might work, or some measurement strategies might work with one client that won't work with another. So it's kind of a bespoke process right now.
I think one is like leveraging the tools that are available to us now, even if what Google provides us, taking advantage of, you know, more hands-on opportunity, utilizing your own skill set, your human expertise, along with complementing with AI technology to ensure that you're hitting your client's goals. And when things are being developed, again, making sure we're properly vetting it, making sure that the resources are correct and trusted, and, you know, trust but verify.
Well,
everything.
we do a quick, but just to Ryan's point, that sometimes is maybe creating more work than less.
Hey, Ashley from Equifax again. Earlier you asked the question, how are you advising your clients? Can we flip it around? What are the kind of questions that your clients are coming to you with?
What's our AI strategy? How many people got that question, right? It's and it's everybody's asking the question because everybody wants to use AI and cross it off their checklist. But you know, you have to turn that around. AI is a tool. It's not going to replace the person putting a new roof on my house, right? But it's me giving him a nail gun instead of a hammer. He's going to work better. And so the clients are like, you know, should we use AI? What should we be using it on? How should we use it? But also, everybody's really skeptical and afraid right now. I mean, there's a lot of legal concerns. We all saw what happened with, I hope no one's here from them, from Bankrate, right? When they put all the articles out there and it gave the wrong formula for calculating interest. Or where one of the news sites generated headlines and a basketball player died, and it said player useless at 42 because they had the what's the word for it? But the tuned up the synonyms too much, right? To add color, or there's a word for it in programming. I forget what it's called. But they added too much color to the words, and so it was like changing synonyms that didn't make sense. And like so they wrote this article calling this player useless. So there's definitely, we need to be cautious. And so I think most of the questions I'm getting are clients like, what is our cautious approach? How should we be using it? How should we be using it in the right way? And that's something we've been consulting a lot of clients on, and it's been a lot of fun. We've done a lot of workshops. We've done a lot of, you know, interesting calls and meetings, and we've even prototyped some really cool stuff in a safe way. So it's been fun.
By the way, one interesting thing off of that is that you do hear people who are saying, oh, AI is going to replace jobs. It's going to replace roles. I don't think it does. It replaces some responsibilities. But if you also think about it in a slightly different context, if you had a marketing intern, you would never allow them to go write a massive blog post and then just go publish it without somebody checking it. So why would you let a computer do it? So you have to understand that it is a tool to be used, but it is a tool that still requires the same element of human oversight, quality assurance, or whatever. And for the people who literally said, well, I'm going to use this to replace people, I mean, those people probably should get replaced as well because they're not doing their job very well. You know, so it's a
very
tool.
short-sighted.
Yeah, it's a tool. You shouldn't put it in place of people completely. There still has to be oversight on it.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have one more question here. We'll make sure we have time for her. Here you go.
Thanks, Lisa. Mia Tassoni with Zimmerman Advertising. You mentioned Meta's AI assistant, and I know it's pulling in data from Google Ads, right, in terms of the query. Curious what that means from an SEO and or paid standpoint, just your thoughts on that. The integration across Meta, right?
We haven't gotten any data on it yet, unfortunately, and that's due to Meta just saying, no, you can't have any data about this, right? But
We're all platforms.
yeah, so we're playing with it right now. I'm not really sure what the impact is going to be until we've actually had time to play with it and dive in. But it's something we want to do and that we are doing. It's just I don't know that I have enough data to make a informed decision on that yet. Yeah.
All right, and
right.
just, Rich, did you want to, I kind of cut you off from saying a response to what Cory was saying?
Oh, I mean, I was just going to say, you're always going to see, like with the jobs thing, is like there's going to be cost-sensitive clients. Like you're going to see like 24-year-olds graduate college and say like, we're an agency now, give us your business for half what you're paying your current agency, and people are going to take them up on that. Like you are going to see a shift. You're going to see cottage SEM, cottage SEO kind of spring up with people using AI to compensate for the manpower and knowledge, and it's probably going to fail miserably, but it's going to be there.
Yeah, to add on that, I don't think AI is going to replace you, but that kid coming out of college that learned how to code and grew up using AI tools, that's the person you got to worry about replacing you. And if you're not getting that knowledge, the kids coming up out of college, they're being taught it. They're growing up in it. They're learning it. So we got to keep up. That's the person to worry about.
All right. And
that-
thankfully, the agencies love to buy those companies. So, all right.
On that positive
Thank you
note,
very much.
Let's thank you guys. A big round of applause for you, Cory, Rich, Brett, and Ryan.